What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 96 of the Finale Podcast. Today I'm joined by Cittilad and Tyler to recap week 4 of the NFL season and look ahead to week 5. So, guys, how have you been?
Good, doing good.
Yeah, been good, man.
Cittilad, I know you're on that gym journey. How's that been?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Been over a month now, so I've been, going every day. Starting this month, but I've been averaging 3 to 4 times a week the last month, just trying to get a groove of things and get a set plan on what to do in the gym. But it's going well.
That's what's up. Gotta clap it up real quick.
Yeah, good stuff.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there we go, Tyler. All right. But yeah, so got a few topics to go into today, but before we do that, we want to recap week 4 with one surprising or disappointing performance that we took away from that week. So I'll start with mine. I'm going to go and say the Sunday night football game between the Ravens and Bills. I was definitely surprised with the way the Bills were coming into that game and how the Ravens just from the start really handled them. Like, first offensive snap for the Ravens was that Derrick Henry big touchdown run. I'm not sure how many yards it was, but it felt like it was like 80 or 90 at least. So I think that set the momentum for the night. And then limiting the Bills to 10 points was impressive as well, with the way that offense was, I believe, number 1 scoring offense in the league coming into that game. So even though they don't have the weapons that they used to have before, like Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, they're still really powerful offense. And the way that the Ravens really showed themselves in that game was impressive to me. They didn't start off the year that well, starting off 0-2, especially the way they lost that Raiders game. And then the way they almost blew that Cowboys game. I think it was like a really statement sort of win that they got last week to reassure everyone that they're still one of the best teams in terms of a contender for that AFC championship. So, yeah.
Yeah, so my surprise was Baker, against the Eagles. Also, it's Eagles' disappointment as well. I think their ups and downs really noticeable with that org. I feel like it's kind of on injury side as well, and then given Jalen Hurts his weapons, I feel like he's really dependable on AJ and Davante as well.
Yeah.
But you can see it right then and there. He's not comfortable in the pocket as well. It's not, Nick Sirianni might be telling him otherwise, but he doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look confident at all. And and then surprisingly, with that loss against Denver last week for the Bucks, but just the way Baker came out and just throwing the rock, he was 13 for 14 for almost 200 yards in the beginning of the first half, and that was my biggest surprise.
Yeah, I want to ask you, like, do you think some of that comes down to, like, I know since the Super Bowl, like, the Eagles keep changing coordinators on offense. I know they've had Steichen last year was somebody else, but this year they have Moore coming over from the Chargers. Do you think that kind of plays into why this offense is kind of up and down at times?
I'd say it's kind of a mix of 50-50 between coordinators and personnel as well, and just the injuries on the offensive side. I feel like Jalen has to learn a new system from Kellen Moore and his ways of operating in his system, but also Jalen as well, what he's comfortable with. I feel like if Jalen's not comfortable, then Kellen Moore's not comfortable. So vice versa on both sides of the field as well. So when the team's not doing so well, it's all depending on personnel and coordinators and staff. So just the up and down games between them and the injuries as well, it's going to be really noticeable going on in the next few months. But otherwise, you're not used to seeing Jalen Hurts doing so poorly, but at times he's doing so great.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's kind of both, staff and personnel.
Yeah.
My biggest surprise was Jets losing to the Broncos. Not just losing to the Broncos, but losing how they did.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like through these first few weeks, their offense is just not producing the way we expected them to. and Denver really just seemed to have all the answers for them in that game. Not to mention, Jets are going to have another tough matchup against another hard defense this week. So
in London.
it's really just been shocking to me. I guess just the lack of, like I said, production we've seen from them for these first few weeks. So that's been the biggest surprise for me. And then I also had the Bills obviously disappearing against the Ravens, giving up 271 total rushing yards, which, I mean, obviously that duo of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is insane, but you're not going to win football games giving up that many rushing yards like that. So
Yeah,
it showed they couldn't get anything going on offense. Yeah, they just had no answers. So that seemed to be a shock to me, considering that was like anticipated to be a very competitive game.
Yeah, and I think
yeah, yeah.
Justice Hill too.
Hmm.
Like they have just a really good team over there, and I don't even think I'm not sure what Mark Andrews' numbers are now, but I don't know he hasn't started the season that well either. So yeah, so I
He's been
mean,
like the top left tackle this year.
yeah, Isaiah Likely's been in the spotlight, but yeah, as far as the Jets go, yeah, I've been kind of surprised too because they had that good game. I think it was the week before against the Patriots, right? And then
Thursday night. Yep.
yeah, just overall this season, Garrett Wilson's numbers less than 200 yards through 4 games. Like, I'm surprised at that, because I was expecting a big year from him, especially with Aaron Rodgers coming back. And then now you got the rumors of like potentially that's a spot where Davante Adams could land. We'll get into that later, but like, just want to see some consistency out of that offense because they've got the weapons, but like can't be putting up those numbers against the Broncos, like limiting you to 9 points that whole game. I didn't see how the game played out, but just the fact that it was like went that way, definitely going to have even more problems when you have Minnesota coming up in week 5. But yeah, those are some good picks there. Let's get into the league news. We just mentioned Davante Adams, so he just requested a trade. A lot of questions kind of stemmed from, I believe it was Antonio Pierce who liked an Instagram post about this topic of Davante Adams, and yeah, he was asked about it and stuff. Didn't really speak too much on it. Just saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna come into work, do my job, and all that. And then the day later, just request of a trade comes out. So just overall, first question I have for you guys, like, what are your thoughts on that news and just how the fit has been between Davante Adams and the Raiders in his time there so far?
Yeah, I feel like it's not too big of a shock for me as well as other media and people on Twitter, especially. But yeah, his time with Green Bay was the same. Aaron Rodgers leaving and him calling for another trade. So I expected another trade as well. Just I feel like his numbers were going downhill, but also he was, you know, just trying to play his part as best. With the quarterback situation that they have. For the past few years, but also he, I feel like he wants to go to a more competitive team that's already, been already established instead of trying to rebuild. I feel like he still has a good number of years left in his production as well for a more competitive team. But yeah, I'm not shocked. Also he's dealing with a quote unquote hamstring injury, but we'll see
Yeah.
on that. See if he gets better once he gets traded. But yeah, I feel like with him being traded, that organization will definitely, be less distracted on his behalf.
Right. Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely not shocking. If anything, shocking it took this long. It's just we've seen it coming for a long time. There was a lot of talk in the off season, and obviously now we have the official request. But um, now your window kind of shrinks because trade deadline will be here before you know it. Raiders apparently want a second round pick plus additional compensation. So don't know what the market will be for that. Obviously, we have multiple teams that will be interested, but um, we'll see. We'll see what kind of package he can draw and if they're able to get a deal done before the deadline. Um, but yeah, like Cittilad was saying, the window is just kind of closed on Davante Adams in that current situation. They're clearly heading in the direction of a rebuild, and he just doesn't fit that plan going forward. So I think the longer you wait, the less assets you'll be able to get back. So I think it makes sense for both parties.
Mhm.
Now we'll just see what the Raiders are able to get in return with the public knowledge that Davante Adams wants out. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cittilad.
Oh, I was gonna say I feel like the Raiders aren't gonna trade him to the Chiefs without speculation. More like the Jets we were saying, and somewhere in the NFC might suffice.
Yeah. That is definitely a landing spot that's been mentioned. Where do you think he should be looking to go? You know, they've obviously brought up his former quarterback situations like the Jets, as I mentioned, and then the Saints with how they've started the year. Like, what type of situation do you think would be best for Davante? For both sides, I guess, because you know they might not want to trade him to the
Uh,
Chiefs.
Somewhere that's not too competitive in their division, especially the Chiefs. That's definitely an out.
Mhm.
But that weapon for Mahomes, that's gonna get scary in that division. And also, I feel like the Saints a good fit. Yeah, Derek Carr, they have got that chemistry, and also Aaron Rodgers as well. But also Aaron Rodgers, his production numbers are down, and Garrett Wilson as well. So just kind of 50-50, I guess. Just either place it or it can go both ways. Like that's bad for good for the teams.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah,
feel like his best. I feel like his best. Oh, sorry. I feel like his best. His route's got to be with the Saints.
yeah,
I feel like they got that offensive power going.
Okay.
I'd agree, and I think the Saints are probably the most likely option too. Um, Obviously, Jets, Saints probably at the top of his list just because of that former quarterback
Yeah.
relationship. Um, Chiefs would be an obvious need for the Chiefs, but because of the divisional aspect, they would have to seriously overpay to make something like that happen. And I don't know if that's something they'd honestly be interested in, based on Patrick Mahomes' success in the past of making it happen with basically nobody. Like I don't know if they're willing to overpay for an aging
Right.
star receiver like that. Um, let's see what else I had. I had the Bills on here as a possible, you know, dark horse team to make some moves for it. Obvious need over there. Not sure what
Mhm.
they'd have to offer. They'd have to restructure some contracts, I'm sure too, but it's a possibility. And then Steelers, they were going after Ayuk in the offseason. Couldn't make that happen. Um, and besides Pickens, they really have no solid weapon on that offense. So it kind of would seem like the perfect landing spot for a guy like Davante Adams.
Yeah, those are some good options. Yeah, I think he definitely would prefer to go back to Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr with the familiarity aspect. That seems to be the thing he's going for. I just think like there's probably like better situations he could land in terms of consistency from your quarterback and the offense in general. But yeah, I think the Steelers would be a good pick for sure with their lack of offensive firepower, especially with the wide receivers. George Pickens, Calvin Austin, not really too many big names out there. The Bills potentially, if they have the space to do something like that. I see the Commanders on this list. I don't think the Commanders are gonna make that move this early. Uh, but yeah, there's a few options. I think you don't want to overpay for somebody like Davante Adams because he is getting up there in age, but he's still an elite receiver. So I think a team should be looking to go for him still, just not for a crazy overpay of a price. Like I think what Tyler mentioned, what was like a second round pick is what they're asking for
Yeah,
potentially.
and additional compensation,
Compensation, yeah.
young players plus additional picks.
Yeah, I think a second or third round pick is fair price as the main sort of focal point of the deal. I would say just because like we've seen star players get traded in the past, and like um, usually a second round pick will suffice. Like TJ Hawkinson got traded for a second round pick, um, and he's a much younger player, so I could see it even being like a third or fourth. But and
Mhm.
then Keenan Allen in the offseason, what was he traded for? I know he's a little bit. He might be a little bit older, but
Third, fourth.
I feel like Keenan Allen was traded for something a little bit more later. I think just really they'll get like
Diggs was traded for a second.
Diggs was traded for a second. Okay, that makes sense. Keenan Allen trade.
Yeah.
Let me just
And I could see why the Raiders would want a second then in that case because they'd probably value Davante on that same tier.
Yeah, and Keenan Allen was a 4th-round pick. So I think third or second round pick will probably be enough to get Davante Adams. But yeah, he's somebody that can contribute right away. It's unfortunate how it's kind of gone for him in Las Vegas, because he comes into that situation with a team that's kind of growing. They have the weapons. They're signing these players. I think Waller's still there, right, at the time, and he's still elite at that time, right? So
before New York.
Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate how that played out. And then they move on from Derek Carr and go to Jimmy Garoppolo. And that situation doesn't go well, of course. And this year they're actually not doing too bad, but like Tyler was mentioning, like doesn't fit the trajectory of the organization's direction at this current point in time. So I could see him kind of going to an organization that's a little bit more like veteran style at this point in time and seeing him excel there because he still has a lot left to give. I don't think he's done by any means with his elite production. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how that situation plays out.
And
but yeah,
added that, I feel like a low key, like a sleeper pick. That's not so sleepy, but I feel like the Rams can pick him up. I feel like that division could be up for grabs because they're 1-3. Cardinals are 1-3, I believe. San Fran is 2-2, I believe. Are they?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much up for grabs, and the Seahawks just lost.
Yeah,
and, with Puka's and Cooper's injury being, on the sideline for injuries, I feel like he can fit in right in that scheme. And then with Stafford throwing the ball, and with that, I feel like Stafford can just throw anyone in there. So with the help of Davante, I feel like that would help Rams especially.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see if they'd be trying to make that move. I think they're making it work kind of right now, but could use some weapons. We saw in their last game against Chicago, like that they were missing a little bit of outside help. But we'll see what happens with them.
With that happened, that'd be a scary trio for the one game that they're all healthy together.
Yeah, the one game that they're healthy. Yeah.
I mean, the Rams in the past were trading first round picks for the Super Bowl run, and then they don't have a first round pick until what, like 2028, 2029, somewhere like that. Late.
They got the ring though, so
that's all they wanted.
Yeah, but
it's worth it all for that.
I would agree. I think any trade is worth it for the Super Bowl ring, or just a championship ring in general. Like I always say in basketball, like the Raptors got Kawhi Leonard for 1 year, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
That's the thought process there, but
as long as you win that championship, otherwise it's a complete failure. Also, basketball, as we're seeing with the Clippers right now, with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the Miami Dolphins, right? So this team, obviously without Tua at the moment, lost on Monday Night Football to the Tennessee Titans. Right now, they're 4th in the AFC East, 1-3 on the season. They have Tyler Huntley at quarterback right now. And it's clear that when they're missing Tua, as they have in the past, it's just not sustained, the offensive firepower and the levels. And it's like, it shows that you also need that quarterback to complement the firepower outside with Waddle and Hill. And they're not getting that. And then their defense, of course, it's not the greatest right now. And they've just lost Jalen Phillips again to another season-ending injury that I just saw earlier. So yeah, this team has some problems that they're going through right now. What do you, I guess, think about the Dolphin situation? Do you think they should be looking to add another quarterback? Kind of how do you think they should move forward at this current point? Because I think it's definitely one and three is definitely a disappointment. I'd say this far.
Yeah, absolutely. Just since 2022, since Tua's been hurt with those concussions, and they haven't been looking great at all with him being in that without him being in that lineup, and also they can pick up a veteran quarterback, and if they want to make a run for the playoffs, but
Mhm.
also they need a really good, reliable quarterback in order to make you know, those two wide receivers, do something for that offense. But yeah, I feel like if they can pick up Russell Wilson or, you know, someone of that caliber, I feel like they can definitely be in it. But yeah, 1 and 3. I see them not winning more than 4 games without Tua.
When's Tua expected
Yeah.
back again?
Maybe late
If
8 or 9.
if ever.
Yeah.
If ever. I mean, he's still trying to
Yeah,
play, you
that's
know.
not
So
that. Yeah, that's not even a joke. Like, yeah,
yeah,
that's still up for conversation.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree. They really. I mean, Huntley looked terrible. Thompson looked terrible. Boyle looked
Mhm.
terrible. They're on their fourth quarterback through 4 weeks. Like, they need to find some sort of solution going forward, or they're never going to get any offense going. Like they haven't even had like a hint of offense. Like it's been ugly.
Mhm.
It's bad. Um, like you're saying, this really just shows how valuable like Tua is to that offense and that scheme. But at the same time, it's this coaching staff is not adapting to the lack of having their quarterback out there. They clearly have no backup plan. Um, and yeah, the offense just seems lost right now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So like, what was the number of games you said? 4?
Yeah, I said up to 4.
Yeah, I think that's even generous with the current rate they're
Yeah.
going. They got to figure out something, whether it's yeah trading for a veteran quarterback or signing one in free agency or something. But
Yeah.
it's not working.
I'm surprised, like, because they've had this situation in the past too, you know, with playing as backup, like Skylar Thompson, right? He played in the playoff game. What was it, like 2 years ago? I
Mm-hmm.
want to say. Like
Yep.
you should have seen at that point, and kind of like how the Vikings thought of it last year. Like our backup quarterbacks were not good. Like we need to address this in the offseason. They made sure to bring in two quarterbacks that could come in and contribute, JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold. If you're
Mhm.
them, I mean, if you're the Dolphins, yeah, I don't think Tyler Huntley is terrible considering what he was doing in Baltimore, but like you could probably have done better. You know what I mean? Like somebody that can kind of sustain your offense and play at the similar sort of style. Like Huntley plays kind of more in a different style than Tua, and it's not going to be the same when you replace them two together because he's not that type of player. He's not like a passer sort of thing. He kind of complements more of a Lamar Jackson than a
Mhm.
Tua. You know what I mean? So I was surprised that they didn't really address this sooner, especially considering the regularity at which Tua goes down. And it's a serious thing because that's something they always have to deal with. And without him, they seriously lack consistency and their offensive output plummets. And people used to always say like, "Oh, Tua's only doing this because he has weapons around him." Like, you gotta look at it on the other side as well. Like they're doing it because of Tua. You know, they need the quarterback there
Right.
that's going to be able to execute the offense, and that's Mike McDaniel's guy. And Tua's been serviceable, consistent for them, and without Tua in the lineup, they clearly struggle. So I'd look for them to. What was it, Cittilad? You mentioned Russell Wilson. That's the sort of quarterback that you might want to bring in, considering his play style. Like somebody that can pass the ball, extend
Mhm.
plays. Like I think that's a great sort of option that you'd want to bring in, especially with how Justin Fields off to a hot start with Pittsburgh. So somebody like that, like a little bit more established, I think that's a worthy sort of move for the Dolphins at this point, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the more football that we're going to watch in the future, I feel like teams are going to get that veteran guy as their backup.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz on the Chiefs, um, just to name a few, Jacoby Brissett,
Hmm.
Sam Darnold, those type
Flacco.
of players. Yeah, Flacco, just that veteran, Andy Dalton, just those veteran types, just for that, reliability of them coming in the game as a veteran to help those younger players, and just, you know, I feel like, with their, you know, um, status in the game and their longevity in the game as well. They have that better understanding as time goes on. I feel like for different offenses that they've been switching on different teams here and there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
they should have addressed it 2 years ago when he got hurt on Thursday night against the Bengals, I believe.
mm-hmm. And
Especially
the teams you've mentioned that brought in those veterans, like those are teams that don't even need it as bad as the Dolphins need it. You know what I mean? Like everybody could use
Mhm.
it, but the Dolphins are in desperate need of that sort of guy. Like Andy Dalton, he's available every offseason. You know, like you can bring somebody in that's just gonna respectfully like boost your
Carson
quarterback
Wentz.
room. Yeah, Carson Wentz. Like just bring
I
somebody in. Like
I
what
see
is
them
Skylar
going for
Thompson
Carson Wentz
doing?
or something. Exactly.
Yeah, like Skylar Thompson's just a young player. Like you don't need a young player in that organization. You already have Tua. You need somebody that's going to be next to Tua. Like they initially had Jacoby Brissett and Fitzpatrick. Those are the sort of quarterbacks next to Tua that you want to continue to build with. And now they move on to like a Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley. Like that's not a good quarterback room when your quarterback goes down. You know,
No.
you can't rely on those guys. Like I'd rather have Nick Mullins because he can at least throw the ball. You know, so that's just I don't know. I'm just like I'd be disappointed because like all this is going to waste. That's kind of how I was looking at it from a Vikings perspective again last year when those games that we saw when we were losing with Josh Dobbs, right?
Mhm.
We won a game 3-0 last year. Like that was the worst
Mhm.
football I've ever watched ever. You know what I mean? Like I don't want I kind of feel for these Dolphins fans because they're not getting good offensive play when they have good offensive weapons. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's where my frustration would come from. But yeah, guys, upset pick of the week. Upset pick of the week time here. I'm gonna go with mine first because I feel like you guys might steal it. So what I'm gonna say, this might be a shocker, but with the way this team has played in the last couple of weeks, I don't think so. I'm gonna go with the
Saints.
Panthers. Now the
Ooh.
Panthers over the Bears, 3.5 point
Mhm.
underdogs. I feel like the Bears are.
4.
Oh, it's at 4. Oh, okay, I looked on
At
FanDuel.
4.
4. Okay, so that's fair. I think the Bears looked okay last week. They beat the Rams, but you don't know really what you're going to get consistency wise from that offense at this point. And defensively, I think they have been underperforming considering the offseason's expectations that we had on them. So with the way the Panthers have been playing, they lost last week, but offensively, they still put up points. And I think Andy Dalton puts them in position to score against mostly anybody. So I think against this Bears team that's underperforming, I don't know where the game is at, but just 3.5 and 4, as Cittilad mentioned, that seems a little bit too high. So I'd like to see the Panthers get, they cover that and they can even win this game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's a
that
good little
veteran
pick.
quarterback stepping up?
Yeah.
That's a good little pick. Yeah, the Bears offensively they've been underwhelming to say the least with those type of weapons,
Yeah.
especially Swift having inconsistent games, and Keelan Allen lingering injury and DJ Moore's underperforming stats.
Uh huh.
My upset's gonna be the Saints in Kansas City on Monday night.
Okay.
Mm.
I feel like the Chiefs. I feel like they're kind of mid. You're not seeing those big hot explosive plays from Mahomes. You know, he's thrown 5 picks already, so he's
Yeah.
definitely needing more on that offensive side, and then Travis Kelsey as well. He's nowhere to be found. But besides Taylor, I feel like Derek Carr will step it up Monday night. Alvin Kamara is going to go crazy. Olave's going to go crazy. Rashid Shaheed's going to go crazy. So I expect a big dub from the Saints.
Yeah.
That'd be a tough
That's not
win
a
on the
bad pick.
road. Yeah.
I mean, Chiefs are 4-0, but every game has been real close and
Close.
hasn't
Yeah.
been, classic Mahomes and company like we're used to seeing. So yeah, and on the opposite, yeah, Saints have been super hot this year.
Mm-hmm.
My pick is going to be the Bengals over the Ravens.
Mm.
Ravens just blew out the Bills. Comfortable, easy win. So they're probably going to go into this a little bit lax, a little bit, not cocky, but like I said, comfortable. And on the opposite, the Bengals are going into this with like a must-win mentality. Um, they slow start. They're really starting to come alive as of late. The offense started to show some improvements. Um, yeah, I know the Ravens have really good pass rush, but secondary is a little questionable. So look for Jamar Chase to take advantage of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely not happening, but we'll see. No, I'm playing. I'm playing.
That's a bold prediction.
Hey,
Uh,
have I been wrong on any of these before?
I'm not sure actually.
I'm just kidding.
We're gonna have to
I
look
think
at
I'm
the tape
wrong
on
on
that.
all of them so far.
We're gonna look at the tape on that.
Uh, yeah.
Let's ride.
But yeah, since yeah, Cittilad, you mentioned the Chiefs. I want to ask you guys. So, do you think the Chiefs? I know the Chiefs didn't start as good record-wise last year, but do you think they had a better start last year or this year?
This year they're 4-0. They were 1-2 in the
I mean, not record-wise, but like in
fourth.
general.
Oh, last year for sure.
Last year's better.
Oh yeah, that first game against Detroit, Travis Kelsey was going for like, two tutties,
Okay.
but that was a good offensive side for them. But yeah, I feel like they're just underperforming. I feel like Mahomes is just uncomfortable in the pocket and hit stick Rasheed Rice. Like what?
I think. Oh
Like
yeah,
they don't
no,
look
no, that was
themselves.
crazy.
Their identity is kind of falling apart. I feel like so. You don't. I haven't seen like 1 30-yard pass for a touchdown from Mahomes at all. But he has Worthy. They have Worthy.
He had
So
Worthy. I think
Worthy
Worthy caught one.
hasn't been found since the Ravens, I believe, right?
He had one last week against the Chargers, right?
Did
Yeah, I
he?
think. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, like, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like the Chiefs. It's weird because they were almost. I'm not sure what seed they were last year, but I know they had a home playoff game
It
in the
was
first round, right? Third.
third.
Yeah. So
No, second, I believe.
second. I know they hosted the Dolphins. Anyways,
Dolphins, yeah.
Right there, the
I,
two
I
seed.
think I think, but they were in position to be like on the road for the first time in the opening round. Like I know that the second round was on the road, but like they could have been not the second round, right? Second round, who they play? The Bills.
Bills
Yeah,
at home,
but they could have been on
and
the
then they
road.
went to Baltimore.
Yeah, they could have been on the road in the first round even because just the way the regular season was so inconsistent, and they would have those bad performances. I know they lost to Green Bay as well later on in the season. They just didn't look like themselves. Even Minnesota almost beat them at one point. Yeah, I just feel like the difference is though with them is they always find a way to win. So it's like
Mhm.
they might not look convincing, but when it's necessary, they're going to come out to play and they're going to come out to win. Yeah, they could definitely improve in that department, but you'll see that they don't feel like they have an urgency to make a necessary like move like where most teams would be like we lost our best receivers, like we need to make a trade ASAP. They're not in that rush just because of their winning culture that they've established and they can do it with literally anybody out wide for Mahomes, even if Mahomes is throwing picks every single week. So it's just like a weird thing with them. So yeah, if you think the Saints are going to come into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, yeah, that's funny. No, I'm just I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Monday night.
I think the Chiefs definitely need to address their receiver situation though. I think losing Rasheed Rice for obviously I don't think we have the official report yet, but more than
Mhm.
likely the season or at the very least an extended period of time.
Yeah,
Um, and Travis Kelsey has not looked like himself so far. You can point that
yeah,
towards just the way defenses are scheming against him, but he's not putting up the same numbers we're used to. So somebody else is either going to have to step up, whether that's Worthy or one of the other guys that will come out of nowhere and become one of the
Schuster.
top receivers in the league just because of Patrick Mahomes. But
Mhm.
if they don't do something about that, it's going to be a lot harder to win than I think in the past years, just based off of what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, that Saints defense is kind of scary. Tyron Matthews has a pick in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, Saints defense is extremely underrated this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into this
Shut
year and
down.
even still with the production they're putting up. So
Yeah.
yeah, that should be a good game.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, Olave, Shaheed. Yeah, that's definitely a crazy offense. And Alvin Kamara. Like we've already seen the Chiefs. I mean, the Saints go on the road and what they did in Dallas, right? So it's definitely a possibility. I'm not going to rule that out. But yeah, should be a good game. Those are all good picks. But yeah, anything else you want to go into before we end this episode?
Hey, Vikings.
I
People
was gonna
keep
say,
doubting
can we
us.
talk about the number
Let's
Come
talk
one
about the
team in the
on,
league?
like
Vikings. Yeah, we talk about the
ranked
Vikings every
number
week,
one.
but like let's continue to talk about the Vikings because they deserve
I
to be talked
how are they
about.
still
I was
underdogs? Like what?
anticipating, yeah, I was anticipating them not talking about the Vikings at all. So
Yeah, let's talk about the
we'll
Vikings.
talk about it while we can talk about it.
What do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, with the Vikings.
Darnold MVP.
Could
Hey,
be.
we're looking
It's
scary. We're looking scary.
yeah.
Hey, we're the
At
best
this
first half
on
team
this
ever.
pace.
It's the best first half team. Yeah,
Yeah.
29-3 in the
On
second
a
half.
yeah, on a serious note, that second half was scary.
hmm
And definitely should not necessarily cause concern, but something that we should address.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just our Tampa two, and we're like top 15 giving up yards, passing yards, but
yeah,
we're top five in rushing defense. But it's also because we play so deep. We're trying to deny that long deep touchdown, and we're just throwing
yeah,
everybody in the 20-yard gap. That's the reason why we're getting they're driving up the field. It's just that 20-25 yard intermittent routes. That's everyone's
yeah,
been throwing to.
yeah. Packers adjusted at halftime, and we did not. Jordan Love looked terrible in the first half, came out in the second half, and yeah, just ripped us apart. So great that we were able to hold on, but yeah, scary finish there. I also wanted to bring up this might be the last time we see Aaron Rodgers versus Minnesota Vikings matchup.
Mm.
So
That's true.
long,
He talked
lot of
about the
long
Vikings.
history of matchups.
I respect Aaron Rodgers though because like he always talks good about the Vikings. Like I feel like he respects the Vikings more than any other team in the NFC North besides the Packers.
Yeah,
He always talks about how like Mike Zimmer's defense was crazy. Always complimenting Harrison Smith. He was
yeah,
talking about Brian Flores' defense on Pat McAfee's show this week already,
Yeah.
and how Sam Darnold's playing. Like, I mean, yeah, I like Aaron Rodgers. Respect, discount double check. It's definitely my favorite quarterback when I was younger. But
Owner of the
Oh,
Bears. Yeah.
yeah,
I wouldn't say all that, but
no, but
Mm.
he's a different guy right now. Not the same Aaron Rodgers. So I think the Vikings will be
he turned 40 and finally grew up a little bit.
yeah a little bit different. Not the same legs. Let's just say. Um, but But yeah, damn. So the Vikings have the most opponent passing yards per game allowed, 274.
Yep.
Sheesh, I didn't know it was that bad. But yeah, that's not what Aaron Rodgers is gonna do, to be honest, because he's
Because they was
not.
playing from behind the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, that's a good point. I wanted to bring that up. That's a stat because I think only 2 minutes of football the Vikings have been playing from behind, uh, outside of
Yeah,
the 0-0s, right? So. I think Bill Belichick mentioned that too. He's like he needs to see the Vikings play close games. Well, they played one this past Sunday, and they kind of
hmm
executed. I would say executed, got the points up on the board, and made it a two-possession game. So Packers had to kick the onside kick, and those chances are slim. So I'd rather win those type of games than lose those type of games. Even if you perform in the second half like the Packers did, like you at least come out with the win and know what to improve on. So it's going to be
right.
a tougher test. You really don't know what to expect sometimes when you go out to play on neutral ground like London. But I mean, the Vikings have a pretty good record there. I don't think they've lost in London ever.
Bro. 4-0.
Yeah, they've beaten the Steelers. I remember Greg Jennings. They beaten the Browns.
Jacksonville.
That's right. I forgot
Uh,
what the great Jennings did.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars. I know the Jaguars play there. I don't know if we played them. We beat the Saints though. Remember when they had the missed field goal?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we have a pretty good record in London,
Hmm.
so that should be a favorable matchup. Obviously Sam Darnold versus the Jets. That's another storyline that's been mentioned. They did him dirty, so he's got to come out, get that revenge.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're favorite 2.5.
2.5. First game that the Vikings are favored, I think, right? I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be, yeah, because we definitely weren't favored in the first game against the Giants and any other game after that, even last week.
Nope.
So
Yeah, I don't think we were favored last week either. So
nope, the
We
Packers
were like
had it.
-1 or something.
Yeah.
-2.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think the difference too this year and last year is we're getting out to fast starts, which is, last year what the fast starts that we got out to were like fumbles. You know what I mean? Like we just give the ball up, and
Right.
that's not happening as much this year. I mean, we've had a couple of interceptions here and there, but like I think we're getting out to fast starts, scoring early, and we're establishing a lot of like multiple touchdown leads. You know what I mean? And Sam Darnold is throwing touchdown passes. I think he's still the league leader in touchdown passes at this point. So our offense is still very
I think he's the
efficient.
only one with double digits.
Yeah,
11.
I saw that stat. Yeah, 11. Yeah. So, and then getting Jordan Addison back, that makes us that much more dangerous. And then T.J. Hawkinson, we really don't have to rush him back at this point. There were rumors before the season that week 5 was the spot where he'd come back, but he's not coming back this week.
Yeah.
I think they're targeting week 7. I saw earlier.
8,
so
8, I believe, against the Rams.
week 8. Well, yeah. I mean, then he has another week with the bye week. So I mean, yeah. I think we're in a good spot right now. Hopefully we can go undefeated into that bye week next week. That'd be really big compared to losing going into the bye. But we've seen in the past the Vikings went 5-0 into the bye week with Sam Bradford, and then we just didn't even make the playoffs that year.
Right.
That was
2016.
that was so insane.
Well,
Yeah.
one week at a time. All right.
Yeah, 1 week at a time. We gotta savor this start. It's not like 2022 either when we're just playing one possession. Like these are convincing wins. I would say
We look like a different team too than that.
and we have a defense. That's the biggest difference. Like we're not gonna
Like,
go into the
even-
playoffs and then
Even when
down
we
until
were up 28-7, I was still holding my breath because it's the Vikings.
Yeah.
They got to be more convincing, but you never know. It's the Vikings. We've seen it in the past. We lived it, so we got to deal with it. It's never too true until the clock hits 0 for us.
Yeah. And yeah, especially when Jalen Naylor dropped that punt, that's when you kind of get those feelings like, oh, it's not over. So definitely I think they're emphasizing that for sure. Like I said, you want to win those sort of games and then learn from all those mistakes. But what do you guys think do you think that the Vikings will struggle with the Jets, or I don't know. Whenever I see Aaron Rodgers on the other side, I just get like worried. I don't even think about how statistically they're not a good team offensively, but just Aaron Rodgers effect. I don't know.
If he was struggling with the Broncos, then we're definitely going to put 30 in the first half again.
Gets that defense
I think we'll handle our business.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should be good. We got Pat Jones on the other side. Bernard.
I don't want to be cocky, but I'm confident.
I am as well.
Bet the over for sure.
What's the spread on that? I think it's like 2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, that
bet the over. Spreads at bet the over. It's gonna be 40.5.
Yeah, we'll see, man. But yeah, that was everything we were gonna go into for this episode 96. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming on as always. Tyler, if you can hear me, appreciate you as well. But yeah, we will see you guys for the next episode. You guys come on. Should be in a couple of weeks. But yeah, you guys have a good one, and yeah, see you guys next time. Peace.
You too. Peace.